Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Lorna, and I'm going to be chairing tonight's event. First off, thank you all so much for coming. I've already spoken to such interesting people, and I love startup events. I work in the startup industry, but I particularly love food events. Not only because I get to eat lots of samples, but I just think it's a really friendly industry. Everyone's so up for collaborating and sharing ideas. And so really happy to be chairing tonight's event. We have three really interesting entrepreneurs who have started and grown really awesome brands. And so tonight it's really informal. I do have some set questions, but so maybe feel free to kind of chip in if you've got something that's really relevant to what we're talking about, or we'll do a separate Q&A at the end. So first off, I'm going to go along the line and just if you could just introduce yourself and your company and just anything that you think would be interesting for our audience to hear.
Sure. I think I know quite a lot of people in the room, but for those who don't know, Andrew, born and bred in Primrose Hill, took a major diversion to the Gambia in West Africa, which got me inspired to start my business Aduna. And Aduna is an Africa-inspired superfood brand and social business, and we create healthy, nutritious foods that are powered by African superfoods, and we work all the way through from the village or villages, 35 communities in northern Ghana, right the way through to the shelf. And this November, will be 7 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, still going, still alive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Hi everyone, I'm Steph. I am new to Primrose Hill. I'm actually Andrew's new housemate.
Transparency.
So nice to meet all my new neighbours here. So I have an acai company called Boa Vida, which means good life in Portuguese. Acai is native to the Amazon rainforest. And Brazil is where they produce most of it because of sort of where it's grown along the estuary, the river basin. So I was a bit of a skeptic about superfoods maybe 5 years ago when the headline of superfoods kind of hit us in the media, and I was thinking why do we have to pay such a premium for these foods? Are they actually worth it? And acai was one of the things that I've read about. The more I read about it, the more it sounded too good to be true. And when I had the experience of a smoothie bowl, it's very sweet, and then of course I did it even more. How could that be great? It's very sweet and sugary. So I was 24, working in advertising. I had a big holiday to take that I hadn't taken all year, and I thought I'm just going to go to Brazil, go to the Amazon rainforest, and go on a mission and just find out for sure if acai is any good. So I sort of said to Mum and Dad, going to Brazil for Christmas on my own to the Amazon rainforest. They were like, great, thanks. So I went out to Manaus first of all, which is the north of Brazil. Kind of spent 2 weeks living with a family. Literally found them on TripAdvisor. It wasn't kind of a really planned out trip. But I was experiencing life in the forest and how they kind of forage and fish from the river. So a great introduction. And then I went to Belém, which is the city in the northeast, where they harvest and produce lots of the fruits, and it's where all kind of nuts and timber and anything we kind of export from Brazil is mainly from Belém, that comes to natural products. And I found out about acai there, and the locals eat it with fish and rice. It's a very savoury, kind of a neutral, earthy taste, naturally. Zero sugar in acai, although it's a berry, it's actually a zero sugar berry. And I was just amazed by the way that you could eat acai with sugar or with salt. It has a real versatile profile. And then I kind of fell in love with Brazil and the whole culture. Came back to London and thought there is definitely a place for acai here. I just think it needs to have a new story to be told about it, not kind of the sweetened version that we're all having in the West. Let's go back to the source. So over 4 years, I kept going back to the source, meeting an NGO actually, who I became good friends with, kept bringing me back and coming to communities, and I said can I start having a direct supply chain with these communities that I'm visiting? They're all producing acai once a year in the harvest. I would like to buy from them, produce it at this factory, to a specification that I felt was a very pure way of producing acai.
And then I imported sort of 2 tons of frozen puree here to the UK, and then I've been building it up ever since. So now I'm 3 years old, 2 years in retail. So it's a long introduction.
No, that's incredible. Did you guys meet on like Rightmove for like entrepreneurs?
No, mutual friends.
Okay.
Mutual
Nice.
Superfood.
Okay, got it. I bet your
It's a small world.
dinner supper clubs are very interesting.
I haven't had many yet.
They don't do subclass, they do ceremonies.
ceremony,
yeah.
So I'm also a superfood friend. We met on the ceremony in Primrose Hill, where I got this lovely beater with us.
I'm wearing one as well.
Guys,
I'm sorry.
So yeah, but my name is Pete. I'm migrant from Serbia. I moved to Primrose Hill 5 years ago, and I wear many hats, but one of which I wear tonight is State on Demand with my co-founder, business partner James here, where I took some experience of meditating for over 10 years and then having specific diets and brain nutrients from Ayurvedic doctrine mostly. So I decided to kind of team up with James, and we built this idea of state on demand, where we have products that help you achieve different states of mind just by eating or experiencing some experiences, like multisensory experiences, for example. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Very cool. It's quite different, but and also, I'm just going to blow your own trumpet. Peter's very much the brainchild of this event and this entire series, of which this is the 4th now. I think it's the 4th event we've run.
We had quite a few years. So it's an initial community of Primrose Hill entrepreneurs, where we have over 50 now. In the past few years, we also had around 30 interviews in On the Hill magazine, which is a local magazine run by this Building Here Primrose Hill Community Association. And we're kind of all part of this community where we kind of help each other and share knowledge and kind of meet in certain groups. Yeah. So we had one with Sydney almost 2 years ago, one with property technology. We had quite a few actually.
Female founders.
Yeah, female founders as well. So now we are talking about superfood.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the core of it, and we're going to go way back. And so this is quite a really big question to start with, but like, why did you decide actually I'm either going to quit my job or just become an entrepreneur? Like, where did the idea come from? Why did you decide to start doing
it? Well, I think like during my 20s, I had various different thoughts, and in fact, I felt like I always wanted to start a business of my own. I had various ideas and didn't do anything about it. And I think at a certain point, I might have said to myself, maybe I'm just not that type, because it also gets built up. It's like there's some kind of DNA I'm trying to believe. But actually, I think Stefan has kind of just been a bit of a similar story from Steph, I think, because I used to work in advertising as well. I kind of found myself promoting products that I either didn't care about or actively disagreed with. Clients who didn't really appreciate it, and I ended up asking myself, why am I doing this? Is this really what my life is about? And I had an existential crisis, followed by a full-blown nervous breakdown at the age of 25. Ended up unemployed and clinically depressed, and I was in this state for 6 months, and one day I got this random phone call from a family friend who offered me the opportunity to go and volunteer in Gambia. I've never been to Africa before, and I wasn't really that interested in going. So I had all this negative stuff in my head about what that would be like, just from being a kind of passive consumer of the media over here. But thankfully for me, my kind of friends and family put me on the aeroplane.
That's your vibe.
Yeah, and a few weeks later, after that conversation, I kind of rocked up in Gambia, which is known as the smiling coast of Africa, and I was clinically depressed. And it's something of a miracle for me that after trying everything from acupuncture, yoga, psychotherapy, antidepressants, faith healing, nothing made any difference. After just 3 weeks of showing up in Gambia, I came back to life. And instead of staying for the initial 6 weeks, I ended up staying for 4 years and working with farmers. And just got really inspired by having been completely turned off business by having large multinational clients. I got really switched on to business by being a really, really small business where we were buying, I was physically carrying cash and paying it to farmers, for tomatoes and things like that, and then going back to that same village or household just a few weeks later, and the kids that weren't in school and now in school will be building an extra room in the house, so the whole family had to sleep in the same building. And so that just got me really inspired and excited. And I guess Aduna is the continuation of that, because during that time I also became conscious of these high potential products like baobab fruit. When I heard of what was an amazing product, and just thought, how can we apply?
Do we need to educate anyone on baobab? Because you certainly educated me a couple of years ago when we first met. Do you want to just briefly say?
Has everyone heard of baobab and what baobab is? Well, most people do. Well, those who
I've heard of it,
don't.
but I don't actually have a clue what it is.
Okay, so firstly, it's the baobab tree, which is the tree from the Lion King, the Little Prince. So it's known as the tree of life, or the upside down tree.
Oh my god, this is like prime time for you to be like picking off the back of the Lion King. Right?
I've been picking off it for the last 7 years,
Okay,
so I'm an original piggybacker. So it's the tree that Rafiki the monkey basically. But most people, they will have that kind of silhouette of the baobab tree in their subconscious somewhere. But most people don't know that it has fruit, which it does, and it's this extraordinary fruit that dries on the branch, and it has 6 times the vitamin C in orange, twice the calcium in milk, 6 times the calcium in bananas. It's almost 50% fibre, half of which is soluble fibre, it's high antioxidants. But really, what kind of and taste-wise, it tastes a bit like healthy sherbet. When we sample it, that's the most common description of it. But really, what inspired us most about it, and inspired me, is that these trees grow wild, so there's no such thing as a baobab plantation. Where they grow is in the driest, remotest, harshest, and poorest regions of rural Africa. They're family owned, community owned, and there's 10 million of these trees spread out across Africa, with the fruit currently going to waste. So it's such a good product, and the impact of creating demand for it is so profound when you see it from the ground that you do in the garden. So that was baobab was what really originally inspired the business we're doing, and then since then we've introduced other superfoods.
I have so many questions for you already. Can I just very quickly though? So you spent 4 years out there. How was it that so then you could run the business out there with beautiful conditions and all these amazing smiling people? What was it like then bringing the business back to chaos of London in terms of kind of, if you don't mind me saying, kind of like your mental health as an entrepreneur? Was that difficult?
Well, they're different businesses. the one that was running in Gambia.
Okay.
That was a project that was
Out
working in
there.
Gambia.
Okay.
But then moved back, and I was scared, to be honest, because I felt like I was worried that maybe my peace of mind, maybe my mental health, was linked directly to the place that I was in, and what would happen if I came back. In fact, for that reason, I was offered a scholarship at Oxford, but I would have had to wait 12 months to get it. And I was so scared of having nothing to do with 12 months that I turned it down.
It
So
clearly was the right decision. Do you think?
well, I chose to do the MBA and pay for it a year earlier because so I did it. That just says how scared I was of that. But thankfully it hasn't been. I think for me the main thing is what I recognise, what I distinguish myself is that the depression I had was to do with feeling lack of purpose in my life. I feel like I have no worth and I have no purpose. Whereas now, I wake up with a sense of purpose, and that's that's a bit different. The sun helps as well, but that's I think it's just about it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
So that's really like wow.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I think the connection that we share is not necessarily the advertising background, but probably this like we've stumbled upon something that gave us a sense of purpose. Because both of us have businesses that weren't really formulated on a business plan and wasn't going to turn around profits in the first 5 years. And lots of friends that I meet in the industry in the
In the
world.
business plan it was.
It's like
So
investors
lots of
in the
people I meet in the industry, we have a very different story and way in. And I definitely didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. I barely thought I was good at my own job at the time. But I stumbled upon something that so captured my heart that when I left, I was like, I couldn't forget about it. The next year, I was still working in advertising, but I was kind of immersing myself in Brazilian culture and just throwing myself in. My whole world became sort of a Brazilian, Amazon-inspired kind of world, and everyone thought I'd just moved there. But I was like, I actually want to bring some of that energy here. And London's an amazing place. We're a little bit reserved, and therefore I feel like we don't always express the greatest potential for having such a multi-diverse city. So I thought we've got all the elements. Now we just need to unlock it. How can I bring some of that Brazilian culture here? And I thought acai could be the vessel. It's the kind of the product that I tell the story through. And because of the advertising background, I guess I was working on Lurpak and Honda and Nike adverts, and I was thinking what is the story of acai? It's beyond superfood. It's got more grit to that. It's from the Amazon rainforest. It's from Brazil, where dancing and singing and warmth. So that was really for me where the passion started, and I kind of just kept following it through. And then I was lucky that I was 25 when I decided to quit my job, and I felt like that's a fine age to just sort of take a year out, explore, move back home with my parents, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just get back to my job. It's okay. And then you set yourself little goals. So the first thing was going to Wilderness Festival in Oxford and sharing this product with people just to see if they liked it. I thought I'm not going to go all the way and put lots of acai and all the branding and try and raise loads of money. I actually just want to see if this is a valuable thing to people, and it was. People really enjoyed it, and they enjoyed the purity and adding honey if they wanted to or deciding not to. So Wilderness was number one, and then I did a little crowdfunder of selling these bracelets and t-shirts to raise the first £10,000. And then I did a crowdfunder, and then I produced. So I went back to the Amazon, met the community that I've been producing from, and then I got my head around importing frozen food into the UK from Brazil. It was like a 3-week intense course of doing it on the spot and learning all the things that could go wrong. But I made it in the end. And then it was get it into storage, think about branding, packaging, and selling it later. I think lots of people do start business with trying to figure everything out and having the answers to absolutely everything. And I think it really comes down to circumstance and how much risk that you are playing with. I was very fortunate I didn't have too much risk in my life apart from my own expectations. I was okay to sacrifice quite a lot of the lifestyle to just play with this world. Because I could see the longer term thing. I was my life would become more of what I want it to be, not just a holiday every couple of months, a 2-week holiday to look forward to. I wanted this kind of relationship. And I felt like I had been given a really great introduction to the Amazon. I'd made some really amazing relationships, and I wanted to keep nurturing those and see where that led me. And it's still a very, although you can kind of plan, it's still a big question mark. You kind of don't always know where you're going. And if you're okay with that, then it's really fun. I guess that answered the question.
Yeah, no, it absolutely did. I love that both of you didn't really have a map to start with. It was just the passion that guided you.
Yeah.
Is it still like that to date, or have you now got I don't know, a 12 or a 20-month plan in place so you can have that sense of direction after you've hired staff, etc., maybe have investment, or do you still kind of take it day by day? I assume not.
For me, I'm still at the early stages, so I've just hired my first person.
No, congrats.
And I haven't taken investment yet.
Okay.
So it will change. I'm still playing day by day, but having a little bit more structure.
Yeah.
It's so important, obviously, to
Absolutely.
have that structure. You need it. But you, I think, need to be open to change and pivoting when you feel like it's just, you know, I'm trying this and I'm forcing it. It's okay, but let's just change path. That's fine. You don't have to stick to everything that you plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the vision and the mission don't change, but the plan is constantly evolving. Like they say, you know, no plan survives the first week of battle. Like you've got to have a plan of some kind, but then you get into it and you find that this doesn't work, or that does work, and then you just got to, you know, move from there. But I think back to the entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur question, for me, those other opportunities that I thought about earlier in the 20s and didn't do them, you know, when it comes to the bow, I didn't have a choice. It was just pulling me so strongly that I just had to do it. And that is when I stepped into it, that's when I became an entrepreneur. It wasn't like I was an entrepreneur the whole time, you know, but it was the moment of taking the action, taking the risk.
Yeah.
That is the moment, you know. That's the only difference.
Interesting. Would you agree?
My
From
philosophy.
your own perspective, Peter?
Absolutely, yeah. I get drawn by plants a lot and to connect with the nature in a way. It's just apart from and doing working with West Africa and stuff, working with Brazil, I focus mostly on India and what I learned from Ayurveda and those type of plants. Also, yeah, it's definitely something that I'm truly passionate about and drawn to. Actually, to share this experience and basically do research, test and see how other people react to these plants and superfoods. You know, in specific combinations as well. This is where I'm very interested in certain settings and then how you consume them. So that's my kind of thing. But coming from the technology background, I think it's now getting validated that these superfoods are actually useful for us very much. Then it's like our only food we should eat, almost like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Obviously, all three of you are super knowledgeable in your own kind of niche kind of product. Do you feel like there's also an element of educating everyday Joe Bloggs like me on the benefits of the superfood that you're working with? Is that kind of part of your kind of marketing strategy to drive more sales? Yeah.
And it definitely is the plan.
Yeah.
My current Joe Bloggs sell is it's an avocado times a blueberry.
It works! Like,
Yeah, and acai to most people is a sweet berry, and it's completely not. It's I've said zero sugar, but it's super high in antioxidants and the ORAC scale, so 3 times as many as blueberries, 10 times more than red wine, and it has all the omega fats of an avocado, so omega 3, 6, and 9. It's very fatty in its content. Not many people know that about acai, so Joe Bloggs sell, it's an avocado times blueberry.
Well, our main ingredient is hemp, which is also known as cannabis, but main ingredients, cannabinoid would be CBD. So this plant is produce more oxygen than any other plant. It grows faster than any other plant. It produces heat than any other plant. So it's a very powerful one, and it's now getting really popular. Especially lately with CBD rise in the UK. So I think that's good obviously for massive adaptations, but what we're trying to do is test how this plant works in combination with other plants like ashwagandha or plants that old monks used in Tibet, for example, like lion's mane mushroom or some of those ancient superfoods. And this is our kind of mixing the magic ingredient.
Is there for
Yeah, maybe James can can explain what we had on the menu today. We brought quite a lot, and it's usually we don't sell online yet. I mean, you can order it only through the website. We're not live like these guys on Amazon. They're mailing it absolutely, but we're gonna be soon. For now, what we do, we run. This is our third event where we bring different musicians and performers and scientists and doctors. And we have panels, we share knowledge and idea, we experiment, and we give these products to people to test them out and to get the feedback so we can improve and potentially make a tailored version.
Cool. Okay. So Stephanie, you mentioned that you crowdfunded to get 10k. Have you kind of tapped into other sources of kind of?
Not yet, no.
Managed.
It's been a sort of a freelance world, so it's been like a
Okay.
2-month freelancing to pay for the next import.
What are you freelancing in? Something completely different?
Consulting,
Advertising, marketing. Yeah.
advertising. So I've been doing that on and off for the last 3 years,
Okay.
just to sort of. The thing is, I wanted to keep my mind open to where I wanted this to go. I felt like I was still building this brand, and I wanted the brand to be one that would stand the test of time. I'm not just going to create something, and as soon as I get money from someone, they're going to kind of like control where it goes. I wanted to kind of own my story a little bit more and create something that was really stable. And then when I get to a place of like, can't change, this is like the fundamental grounds of the brand, then I can sort of accept money from people who are on board with the mission and the bigger vision of it. So for me, just to go back into freelancing is the best way to keep sort of bootstrapping and felt really comfortable about that, and I still do feel good about it. But I think the vision for me is to sort of, yes, get investment, but get from the right people who are on board and want to see this as a long-term brand, not a sort of quick, fast growth, selling couple of years. It's like my mission for working in the Amazon rainforest and other parts of Brazil or South Africa. Actually, there are a lot of great movements at the moment in South America, especially with agroforestry culture and products coming out from this work that they're doing that I want to kind of tap into and help. So that's kind of the extension of SAE. It won't just be an SAE company, it's kind of working with different products from these places where lots of regeneration is kind of being part of the story as well.
And this is a question to all three of you, and forgive my ignorance. Are you finding that it's easier to access investors, or are they out there that have an interest in backing sustainable food products?
I think for
Did you-
us, we
did you
started
craft?
quite a long time ago. So we did friends and family rounds, then we did a number of angel rounds, and those were clear social angels. So those are specifically social impact investors, individuals.
Do you mind me asking where you found them? Was it through just
It's an
Translation
organisation called Clearly So,
okay?
and they have they're a kind of social investment bank,
Yeah.
but they have an impact, a network of angels who invest in impact businesses. So crowdfunding. But I know that it's been more tough for people who followed afterwards, because when we were raising money was 2014. And I have referred other friends and people to them, and because most of them have invested in it, they don't. I think they're a bit experience a bit of wear out in terms of investing in kind of sustainable food brands. I mean, that's just that particular angel group.
Sure.
But obviously, these angels like to have kind of diversified portfolios and things like that.
Okay.
So. But for us, to be honest, raising money it's been hard, it's been a lot of work, but it hasn't been that difficult. It's just
Okay.
a lot of work.
Any insights that you can share with anyone that is interested in investing? Kind of top tips on how to be investment ready? Is it having a good deck? Is it
Having a good
finances and story? Okay.
Having a good story, and I mean, you do need a good business plan. But as we said, the business plan may not always turn out the way that you expect it to. But I think what I've found is that a lot of the time up to this point, the investors are often investing in you, as an entrepreneur.
Emotional transactions.
Yes.
Well, they've got to believe in you, and also you've got to know your stuff, because they will appoint someone or two or three people to do the diligence on behalf of the group. But for me, I always loved that, because it's the only time ever that anyone will ask me all of those questions and understand the depth of thinking and work that's gone into it. Because even my parents kind of positive. Like, no one is interested.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and friends will just be like, oh yeah, how's it doing? Oh, yeah, it's fine. Okay, cool. No one's really that interested. But when you're about to part with cash, they get very interested and they drill down into everything.
But
Well, a quick question about the investors from a sustainability point of view. Did you have to have any like B Corp accreditation or any accreditation like that to prove that you were a sustainable company? Or did that help?
For Clearly So to take you on as to present to their network, they first due diligence for the social impact, and they like it can't be a bolt-on. So the way like their criteria is that you have to have your business has to have an impact model. That means that really the purpose of your business is to make impact. B Corp is something else, and we will become a B Corp at some point, but B Corp is more like for any business can become a B Corp by doing sustainable practices, more sustainable practices. But B Corp we're a social business, and how there are different definitions for that as well. But how we define it is that our social mission is at the core part of our business. That is the purpose of our business. But we're a for-profit social business, and there are other people in social enterprise. We're a member of Social Enterprise UK, but there are other members of Social Enterprise UK who would say that you're not a social enterprise if you make a profit. So it's a matter of opinion, basically.
Clearly So it's definitely a good hybrid of those. So they don't only do social impact grants and stuff. These are kind of investors that put in money. It's just they now want to put money in this cause as well. But apart from friends, family, and food, you also raised using Seeders, and I believe Seeders at this moment, which is I don't know if you know, Seeders is a crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding based platform, and we raised like what 600 pounds.
We've raised about $1 million over 2 rounds on Seeders, yeah, and that's been very positive as well.
Loads of automated work, loads of investors coming to you through those networks. But most interestingly, now Seeders just launched their food and drinks fund. That you get loads of stuff from them, and you also get investments, which is I think a good opportunity for all the
about crowdfunding is like back to your Steph's point, is because the last thing that any of us want to do is to accept money from someone who's not aligned with the business. And with Seeders, with crowdfunding now, you can leverage your angels, by you can double your money, you can double or treble whatever your angels are putting in by going through crowdfunding to get up to the kind of level of investment that you would normally need an institution for. And that as a group of individuals, you make a good video, you state your mission, you're honest about what it is you're trying to achieve, and then the people who back you are the kind of people that you want. So, we've got 700 investors in Seeders, never had, not one, people say it's high maintenance, not for us. Never had a bad word out of any of them. Occasionally they email with like, I know someone that works at this retailer, would you like an introduction? But they don't bother us with, it's great, to be honest. Yeah.
I guess they're your biggest advocates. I hear a lot of people do crowdfunding not just because of the cash element, but purely because of the marketing exposure.
Well, we're trying to mobilise them at the moment because we've got this trial at Sainsbury's. And this is Sainsbury's. Anyone that lives in Camden, Sainsbury's Camden, please go and buy some products because we've got 7 weeks left.
Yeah.
But we're trying to mobilise them. Really 700 of them should be enough to slam dunk the trial at 70 stores at Sainsbury's.
Nice.
But it's more difficult. They're not as proactive as we'd like. I think the click-through rate for the email we sent out, 300 of them haven't even opened the email.
I love that you know that though. You've got a team of 7, you still know the click-through rate of your emails. Do you think that's all entrepreneurs should have that kind of element of detail or kind of interest in all areas of their business, even 7 years on?
So when it comes to commercials, you need to at least, and if not, you need to have someone who's very good at your trust.
Do you have someone who runs marketing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you run all your marketing?
Okay. Yeah.
And is that something that you want to kind of keep
I think that's
ownership
probably
of?
my strength.
Okay.
I mean, you do everything at the beginning. You do sales, you do commercials. So I think marketing and brand is definitely where I want to kind of put my strengths to and then grow in that way. But it'd be great to have someone who does sort of the business financing side, which I'm just still getting my teeth into.
I actually noticed you all have beautiful brands. Is that something that you think is super important to stand out on the retail shelves or to cut through the noise on social media?
Definitely helps. I was explaining someone earlier that I've been in Plant Organic for 2 years, and I launched when we had 2 other brands in there. And I stupidly thought they would get rid of the other brands and just have my acai. But they've kept all 3 of us in the freezer, and obviously a freezer space is the smallest space really in the store, one of the smallest. So I always feel like we're competing, struggling for shelf space and to get our product out there. But I think because of the branding and the authenticity and that kind of, it comes through that this isn't sort of a big company, it's like a real bean to bar experience. I actually put my acai frozen packs in a coffee bag to kind of like piggyback on the coffee bean to bar experience. So that was just a small idea, but then people actually understand the quality aspect of it. And even though I'm the most expensive in Plant Organic, because of the premium grade and it's higher in the acai content, it's still the best selling acai out of 3 of them. So that just shows like that brand connection and sort of trust that you build actually does pay off. So I think brand is really important.
And it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And do you have those insights from just your own kind of like commercial awareness, or do you ever go down the shelves and kind of like, or like watch people in the supermarkets? There's this amazing lady called Tessa Stewart, I don't know if you know her, we've had her speak at some of the events that I'm involved in, and she literally does go down the shelves and kind of just watch kind of like where people's eye line is and kind of see which colours are attracting people. Is that something
I've heard that from, I've done a bit of it actually recently at Sainsbury's.
Just shuffling all the other
just browsing
brands
the bakery
away.
section, staring at a croissant for about 20 minutes and like looking over my shoulder at who's buying from the shelf. But no, I've heard that from a lot of like really good people, commercial people. So like if you want to find out about your customer and about go and stand in the aisle, 45 minutes and ask people why they pick the products up, and you watch how they shop. They're just in a blink. It's like, why did they pick up that product?
See, if you're in the store, you can't help yourself. So if I'm at the freezer, if I'm organic, and people picking up an ice cream, I'm like,
yeah,
have you had that before? Why do you like it? Like I just want to kind of know why they're buying that, why they're picking that
and
up.
do you ask?
There's no filter.
Yeah, good.
Strike a conversation. I think that is part of the entrepreneurial thing, isn't it? Like you don't question yourself,
No.
you just go. And I remember standing outside of Whole Foods with a clipboard and a questionnaire that I'd made, just going up to people like, so I want to start a business, can you tell me what you bought today? And what do you like about that? Like, how much do you spend? And just, some people are going to say no, and I think you have to be very cool with rejection. It's going to happen a lot, so you have to get used to it.
So do you have retail ambitions? What are your next steps with brand?
It's a very good question. So I believe we are selling our product as an experience rather than just the food on the shelf. But it's not ethical of me, but I think we're going to hit Amazon within a month, which I believe Andrew is also working a lot on, and where you can see our volume. It's basically that if you're driven by this thing to get paid, so you can kind of invest more in stuff. You don't have this value of debt because we haven't raised any investment. Everything is bootstrapped so far. But I think these events are kind of the way that we get to interact with people.
Word of mouth is probably still the most important currency.
Get staff type of surveys and things that you can find here on the table if you want to put them on. I guess that's
Nice. There are so many different stages of starting a food business, from logistics, branding, packaging, everything. Can you kind of maybe hone in on one area which has been particularly challenging, or an area that you learned lots and you feel like you want to share before someone else kind of starts on that journey? Anything kind of on top of mind?
It's difficult for me just because the product is frozen logistics. So it's much easier if you start with a granola bar and you just pop it in an envelope and send it to your influencer. Whereas I have to deal with sort of the cost of any small sample. It's going to be like £12 minimum. So I have to get it to you when you're at home to put it in the freezer, or it's going to melt and your experience will be spoiled. So, and then also mine isn't kind of just out the pack. It's not an ice cream you can just spoon. You have to do something with it. So I have quite a high barrier to entry, and that is my biggest challenge constantly. So I need to do a bit more educational pieces around preparing SIE, which I want to do when my distribution is wide enough. So, I'm constantly saying to people who come to me with ideas, and I have some really great friends who want to help, and I want to activate all of those marketing ideas. It's all great. But what is the point if I can't get it to you tomorrow? And you can only go to Plant Organic and buy it. So at the moment I'm in Plant Organic and a bunch of independent stores around London and the south and southeast, and in Bristol and Devon, but like there are a few independent stores, So until you can probably go on to Ocado or just an online store and order it, it's really hard for me to be excited about all the marketing possibilities.
And just are you knocking on a Ocado store at the moment?
So I spoke to Ocado. They have another product which is a lower grade of acai. It's a bit more diluted and sweetened, cheaper. But I think they want to see how that goes first, and I think that's quite right as well. Like, let's grow the category, make sure people are buying it. So they're interested. I think it's just timing
Patience.
and patience.
And you
Lots
asked
of
about
patience.
the education
Yes.
earlier, and for us that's like baked into it. In fact, that's our business model, because we specialise in taking what we call underutilised ingredients like baobab. 7 years ago, nobody had heard about it. Like not even the vegans, raw foodies, buyers of the specialised health food shops had never heard of it. We had to explain to them what it was, and that's actually our business model. We call it demand creation. That is our social impact model. Is that we take these ingredients that have high potential but nobody's heard of, and we create a demand for them. And so, again, for us, high barrier to entry, because we literally started the brand with baobab powder, and that is an obscure African fruit in powdered form. It's just not really a good business idea. If you were just going out to make money and you were going to put a load of marketing behind something, you wouldn't choose an obscure African fruit in powdered form. But that's what we wanted to do. So we had to educate everybody, from buyers, and then you get it on the shelf. And then once it's on the shelf, nobody in the shop knows who it is. Like, the shop assistants don't know what it is. They never heard of baobab either. And those guys change every couple of months because they're students, coming in. And so you have to be in there educating the staff in the shops and the consumers. So, like, the number one thing, for me, and I guess it's the same for all food businesses. I think I've heard the same feedback. No matter how complex or uncomplex your product is sampling. That's the one thing that you have to do, because if you don't, it won't sell. I think we didn't realise that at first. We thought, beautiful packaging, it's a nice product, put it on the shelf, and it's just going to have this kind of basic rate. They're just going to be people who walk past and just pick it up and buy it. But it's not the case, really. Until people know what it actually is. So that's taken years and years and years to establish those ingredients as superfoods. Now they're there. I don't see them going. I don't see now Plant Organic or the Barrett or Whole Foods. I don't see a kind of future where it's going to sell them like that. I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. So you said sampling's key. Is that piece of why you're kind of going down the whole experiential route, like events?
Definitely.
The strategy.
Well, the strategy is to have an approach like holistic approach rather than traditional one, and to try something new. So it's very hard to explain to people what we do actually, but it's like just take a chill pill, for example. We actually have one of our products is called chill pill, and we have some samples here, and these are kind of lots of people suffer from insomnia, they can't sleep, so these are the chill pills basically that you can take and then just go to sleep. And they're all like natural based, plant-based chocolates.
That works, you're going to get very rich.
Yeah, and we thought about marketing strategies about how you could potentially subscribe to have that model, because you have to sleep, and if this works for you, we could potentially use the technology and then tailor that herbal medicine a bit more towards your needs. So with these apps that are now popping out with meditation apps and other, you can measure your heart rate, your other biometrics like EEG for some brain-based measurements, and therefore you can kind of understand which botanicals you need to use more. And this is where James comes in and mix all the ingredients, and then you get like really good chill pill.
Amazing. Could you maybe share like your own personal kind of like best resource that you've tapped into to help you kind of on your journey? It may seem it's tricky to kind of hone in on just one thing, but if there's anything that you could share with someone else who's kind of about to embark on an entrepreneurial journey, whether it's in the industry or not.
Family and friends.
Okay. And what is that? Apart from it's like a moral support, not like that.
Well, the thing is, though, like,
I do think
if
it's
you-
dead serious about it.
there are lots of things, but when you go to the angels as well, like, we'll ask you if your family and friends invest in this, and if you say no, then they'll ask you why not. Is it because you're too afraid to ask them to invest in it because you're afraid it will fail, or is it because they don't believe in you, or they don't think it's a good idea, or they don't think you can pull it off? Either way, it's a bit of a red flag.
Yeah.
But for me, in that how it started with raising money from friends and family was that we were working on the packaging, and I created a private Facebook group for 250 of my friends, mainly female, with a few enlightened males, to get their feedback on the packaging, early stage packaging designs, because my friends are the target audience.
I was just going to say that.
What just happened after that is that people just started asking me, oh yeah, that business that you're doing, do you raising money for it? Do you need money for it? I was like, yeah, probably. And they're like, oh, well, let me know if you're going to do that, because I'd be interested in putting something in.
Right.
So it wased strategic, but I did that. But I found that people were really wanting to invest, and as a result of that, it was really with that investment we were able to get to the stage where others would invest in us. So there's so many ways I could answer your question, but family and friends investing in me, investing in mission as
I was
well.
going to say, I'm not sure it's just the product that maybe they bought into, but they saw the kind of passion behind your eyes for it and thought.
Yeah, and then a lot of them, I think, also because a lot of my friends by that time have been doing a corporate job for like 10, 15 years and climbing the career ladder or whatever, and pre necessarily having a lot of kids as well, so they had a bit of cash, and they saw it as like a personal social investment, because how do you, if you're someone with 5 grand, 10 grand, how do you make a social investment in something like that? And so they all have kind of, in a way, written it off as,
It's just my gift almost.
Well, I mean,
not all.
no,
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, I think they're hoping to get something back.
Okay.
But I didn't say
What is, do you
anyone who
have
invested, I said, look, don't invest anything that you
Not
can't
comfortable.
afford to lose,
Sure.
or that you're going to need in the next 5 years, and that I'll do, it won't fail if you're not trying, but
Sure.
I can't guarantee anything. And they put the money in. So for me, like that kind of level of faith from friends and family, and they are like the core community. And in fact, it's been really nice because some of those friends who don't live in different countries around the world, but it helps to continue to be connected with them because they're my shareholders. So
I would say my family didn't have anyone to back me, so I can go to them, but friends at the beginning definitely helped with the crowdfunder, for buying bracelets for £20, and they were definitely backing me. They had no idea what SIE was at the time. I was just like, oh, this amazing, Gary to the UK. So it was kind of like a pipe dream that people bought into, which really showed me, wow, like people actually will surprise you. I was so nervous putting the video up, and I sat in my office for like 30 days, at home office, in my pajamas, eating broccoli, and I didn't move because I was messaging everybody I'd ever met in my life. I had a cocktail waitressing job, and I managed to get some of the emails that I was speaking to regular clients. Hey, I met you at like.
Do I have your number? No. Here's my crowdfunding page.
I actually joined dating apps so that I could start talking to people. By the way, I'm crowdfunding.
Brilliant. That is the best marketing idea.
Still is. Still one of my marketing tactics. So yeah, family and friends in a way, but luckily I think today there are so many communities of like food and drink entrepreneurs, for me it's food and drink, who are willing to share, and you have to like basically be a giver and a receiver. Like you have to nurture those relationships as much as you ask the questions. Think like, let me see if I can be of service.
Yeah.
And it might not be one-to-one, it might just be like, okay, you've got some really great advice on this group of people, therefore if you have the opportunity, if you meet someone sampling their product at Oxley Station and you've got some feedback, know that, giving them feedback and sort of saying I can connect you to this person, will just come back round. And I think finding that is the case. Like as soon as you want to help and give, people will come, come back. So I'd say the wider community of that industry has been the most helpful.
I couldn't agree more. I think community is the key. All street is the key as well.
Great sampling station.
Yeah. In my normal job, I do work as a super connector. So I believe those networks and communities are the key to kind of connect to more friends and just meet people.
I was going to say, my next question was what has helped you the most to get to where you are now, but I assume the fact that you are willing to put yourself out there, network, is there anything kind of more tangible?
I do think the networking, the wider networking as well, is really important as well, because it's something that I've put a lot of disproportionate amount of time into, is doing events like these, speaking opportunities, and cultivating, the contacts that you make, following up on them and cultivating them over a period. Following up,
Yeah.
over periods of years. Because I think that also helps differentiate Zuna in our industry, because we're connected, we have a partnership with the UN. We have, hopefully we expand that into a partnership with DFID, and we've been cultivating like a whole network, like a whole universe. And we're only a small business. But I think those kind of partnerships and connections that are looking at the other dimensions of the business, like the sustainability and the supply chain, it builds so much value into the business. So yeah, I think it's better. It's partnership, some connections.
As long as you follow up.
As long as you follow up, yeah, exactly.
And is social media an enabler to reaching out to other brands? Do you literally kind of slide into their DMs, or is it more formal than that?
I would say it depends what your business is and which channel is going to be the most useful for you. So for my acai and smoothie bowls do exist very well on Instagram. So I would say Instagram is probably the best place to be, and the engagement that I have. I mean, I don't have a load of followers, but like the level of engagement, is great. And the people that are saying, "Can I get it here? Can I get it there?" And it's like, if only it wasn't a frozen product, yes. But I use that for feedback. So any chance of that kind of interaction, it won't just be a case of answering the question. It's sort of like going back with a question and just like building that relationship up. It's not just kind of like, okay, I've answered it, done. It's kind of getting to know the people and actually understanding what their wants and needs are.
I think like talking to people on social media as well. It's like they are real human beings, and you can have conversations with people. But I think Steph's particularly good at that, like consumer social stuff. But for us, or for me, LinkedIn is massive. Because
really surprised me that you said that.
Yeah, because I've added every time I've been to a lot of conferences, trade shows. We've got buying relationships with your partners. I've done a lot of public speaking at different business conferences, Africa Business Conference, LBS, this one, that one. And I've added every single one of them on LinkedIn over the last 8 years. So I've got about 2,500 contacts on there. And they're real contacts. They're not, I don't just accept people trying to spam invitations. So when I make a big announcement on LinkedIn, like I did recently with Sainsbury's thing, people have been following the story for 7 years, and I looked at the stats. I had 20,000 impressions.
Oh yes.
20,000, and 1,000, more than 1,000 were from co-founders and founders. More than 1,000 were for executive directors or directors. And so, like for us, it's like a medium to broadcast the B2B and like what's going on behind the scenes, the supply chain, the partnerships. That's really, really powerful. All the buyers on there as well. I looked at it. I saw 25 people from London Barracks in this post. There's 50 people from Sainsbury's who saw the post. And so like you look at, okay, this is getting through.
It was worth taking those 10 minutes to create that post and collating all those contacts along the way.
Definitely, yeah.
How
we should just collaborate.
Definitely.
Has anyone got any questions at this stage? Because I've got a whole ton more, but I'm just kind of gauging how everyone's feeling.
Got one question, and it's mainly did you use PR companies, and if so, what was your experience with them?
We did when we did our launch, we used a PR company, and we did a deal for like £5,000 for 6 months to do all our launch activity, which is very difficult to get anyone to get out for less than £5,000 in PR. And they did a pretty good job, to be honest. And then we worked with them a bit beyond that. But in the end, we found that ultimately you end up with like the most junior person in the PR company who doesn't have any contacts. So we work with freelancers who've left PR agencies and know personally all of the journalists on a kind of really slim retainer. But now our marketing director, she was 7 years in PR, so now we do it all in-house, and she's very good. She's very proactive. So it depends on the skill set you have. But I think for us, because demand creation and education and awareness is so core to what we do, PR has been really, really important in creating Baobab as a trend. So how do you manage to get it? You have to get it somehow.
You mentioned creating Baobab as a trend. Where do you all see the kind of like the industry going? Is it going to be accelerating at the same rate that it has done in the last 5-10 years, or do you see it kind of like industry now?
When you say the industry?
The superfood industry, not Baobab.
The superfood industry.
Like what's coming up? Like what can people kind of tap into?
The thing is, it's really the health and wellness industry. So it's the like macro level context for all of it, which is incredibly robust and fast growing and forecast to continue. And you can throw into that things like mindfulness, recyclable packaging, more natural ingredient. Like all of that is those are like macro level trends that are just going to continue growing. And then inside that, you've got different parts of that. And whether superfood is really an industry or not as a category, I suppose. And I think, for us, it's a means to an end in a way, because when we were looking at Baobab, how do we take it to market? We were looking at, how do we take it to market? And we can see that superfood is growing. Is Baobab a superfood? What is a superfood? And then we're like, okay, well, if these things are superfoods, then Baobab's definitely superfood.
Do you feel like you have to be super in other areas of the business in terms of the packaging that you just mentioned, in terms of making sure it's recyclable and with your staff and making sure that their well-being, does that make sense in terms of?
It does, yeah, and we kind of stumbled upon that at a certain stage, because I think there's definitely an expectation that if you're an ethical, healthy food kind of business, that culture should follow in terms of the rest of it, and that's great. I agree, but who's going to do that? Because it's actually it's have to be quite intentional with that. So yeah, we kind of all of the business side went faster, and then some having members of our team who were complaining about we should be doing this, we should be doing that, and we're like, oh my god.
I think you set yourself up to a high standard, don't you? And
Yeah.
you're trying to tick all the boxes. So
Yeah.
I love more compostable packaging. I'd love to offset my carbon footprint. But when you're trying to just get the business going, you obviously can't tick every single box. As long as they're kind of on the agenda and you're working towards it, I think you've just got to be clear and if you support me now, then we'll get there.
I believe all the brands will in the near future have to tick some of the boxes. Like it could be, I guess, a regulation. It could be ethical, sustainable, and the other. But I believe that the future of superfood is personalized. And personalization means that what that exactly superfood in which form is best suited for you and for what purpose in well-being, obviously.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that every single superfood needs to be in our laps. I honestly think, like you said, it's personalised. Is it working for you? And how great the superfood is it? So, like you said, all of these other foods are superfoods, the Baobab definitely is. And there are some things that I kind of don't believe in. I'll just name one: dragon fruit, papaya. It's pretty, but it's not that great in its nutritional profile compared to something else. So why ship it all the way here? And it's not very flavoursome. So it's kind of like, let's look at the nutritional profile of the food. Can we get something better locally? And if it's really going to help the individual, then let's back it. But we should take some accountability for what we're working with.
I think with something like Baobab, it ticks the boxes for superfood, but superfood is a niche, so for us it's a way of getting it to just being accepted as a food. Ultimately, Baobab is a fruit, and its future is as a food ingredient, really. And we're trying to position it as being shorthand for ethical, healthy, and natural. So if you want something that's that, then you can have some Baobab.
Just a quick question. I'm fascinated by everyone's story. On the end of what you were just talking about with differentiating superfood versus regular food and looking at its full nutritional profile, is there any kind of organization or entity that can help standardize the differences so that we can understand that at a certain protein level, for example, I used to do protein supplements for athletes, and it had to be 20 to 30 grams of protein per athlete to consider that was protein. Same for a geriatric patient. With superfoods, is there some kind of profile that I'm assuming none exists? So are you seeing trends in what people are looking for outside of super antioxidants, which is I think the common denominator between all?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is though also that there's the European Food Safety Association, which determines what claims you can make and pack, and it's a very good thing. So like superfood is considered to be a general health claim, and you can only have a general health claim if you have a specific health claim to back it up, and you can only have a specific health claim to back it up if the food has a certain level of that specific nutrient in it. So there is fairly rigorous system. The word superfood, no, that hasn't been there is no legal definition of it other than it's a general health claim. But sitting below that is all the EFSA guidelines, and that's another potential absolute shitstorm for Brexit as well, by the way, because the moment
did
that
so well.
I know,
I
I'm just putting it out there. Standardisation of packaging labels for the entire of Europe, so I can export my baobab across the whole of Europe and it's compliant. If I want to export it to South Korea or Taiwan or anywhere else, even Switzerland, it needs a different label, and that makes it impossible to do it. So yeah, just dropping that in there. Sorry about that.
Yes, thank you so much for the talk, very interesting. Kind of touching on the regulation, but also the dosages, but then also on personalization, because you all agreed that this is the future, and how do we personalize and actually make people aware that something worked? Like, I don't know, Qatar, especially you were mentioning the chill pills and like also some CBD. Do you currently use something to track to make people aware that this is actually work for them, or is it more like subjective feedback? Or maybe a question to you all guys as well, do you foresee that in the future that some biomarkers will be used to actually identify the dosages of the superfood and CBD oil, and then also to demonstrate to people that it works because it might scale?
Great question.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, so okay.
You'll feel the fire.
And I mean, I believe it's a feel for all of us, really. When it comes to dosage, and I absolutely agree. So how you can measure stuff? You can always ask people, and that's like mandatory. We like to ask people what they think, and then you can compare it to the data, and you will just understand what's going on. But data-wise, I mean, biometrics can be different. You can measure your blood, heart rate, and what we do measure is EEG. So we measure brain waves, and with those you can kind of understand how one superfood can affect your mental state, if you're ready to go on stage and perform, or like Ari mentioned. So it's like every other technology is getting smaller and cheaper. So now we're at the stage where for like 100 or 200 pounds you can buy a mobile EEG device that would just look good on your head, and people, there's like a whole new rise of neuromeditation, and that's something where it's a next step after mindfulness. Yeah, you use technology, it's a holistic approach, and it's kind of a trendy thing. So with that, anyone with 100, 200 pounds can afford this at home. So you don't have to go to the hospital or to center to do it. So, having said that, I believe it's possible to track, and I see more applications and things being developed to track your kind of intakes and whatever you consume. And I believe I also found some of the open source data for how superfood affects our mental state, and this is where we as State in Demand trying to tap our mental state.
Clinical trials on those, and there are like one of our products has got a clinical trial behind it, which is our cacao powder, which is a high flavonoid cacao powder, and it's the only one in the world that had this particular claim, which is that it increases the elasticity of the arteries, which is not a very sexy sounding thing, right? But it's actually pretty amazing, because what it means is blood pressure and blood circulation. And we had this woman who like phoned us up, this elderly woman who has like serious problems with blood circulation and cardiovascular problems, and she called us up saying that she'd been for her like monthly X-ray, and that the doctor said that her arteries had got bigger. And I had asked her like what had she changed anything? And the only thing that had changed was that she was taking this kind of medicinal cacao. So they had to put hundreds of thousands and maybe millions behind that to actually prove that if you take this amount, it will have that effect. But that is cacao flavonoids. I mean, it's an example of what you're saying. It is a kind of medicinal type product.
Yeah. So essentially, I believe where we're going to see this biometric thing. We're gonna come back to that ancient, guru from West Africa or Brazil or India that just put a bunch of herbal stuff aside and give you a cure. We're basically coming back to that with the technology, where technology will help us to understand what exactly do we need from these superfoods together combined. And
I'll just follow up from Nina. Nina's my business partner, by the way. Okay. Just to explain, I'm a geeky scientist, she's the business person, and we're developing precision medicine pathways for chronic inflammatory disease.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is that you've got something I would love to have, because we're developing, for example, a pathway for people with stem cells. So, with osteoarthritis, at the moment you have knee surgery, etc. So people who are taking these brain cells, growing them up, and then putting them back, and then growing new things there. But the problem is that doctors know nothing about nutrition and all that sort of stuff. So we're bringing these two worlds together. So my question to you is that you're working in the consumer space, and working with people who are experimenting with themselves, etc. And you said that the future is in the food. Have you also looked at the future of your, which I think you really do have superfoods there, as part of clinical care pathways for specific things? Okay? And yes, you need millions of dollars for some things, but we're developing ways of being able to get useful information, useful protocols at a much lower.
We started. We did a pilot level clinical trial with Baobab at Oxford Brookes that was looking at the effect of the fibre on glucose control, which was a positive trial that indicated it could have a role in the type 2 diabetes and glucose control. And we're looking to raise grant funding to do a full scale, and that would be the kind of next step for how we see it. But we're not medical or science people, so
if you want to hook up afterwards, especially for the Baobab. I've been doing some experiments in Moringa, not very much.
Moringa, they're doing clinical trials at Johns Hopkins in the US, looking at cancer prevention and cure. And the main thing driving Moringa sales is word of mouth and cancer prevention and cure. And we don't talk about it because we don't have any evidence of it. But it looks pretty positive. And we have people coming to us at trade shows who say, even me and my partner have cancer prevention.
It's a very shady area there, so I'm really interested in getting these things in protocols there, and you check the results that are getting better. When you were saying that, if you have a way of saying, for this individual, is this thing working? And if you've got that, then you can personalize.
Definitely. Yeah. Partnership.
Definitely, we'll talk about that later.
Love it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I've got a question. It's kind of it can be no question to any of you or all of you. Answer it how you like, but then how would you define good quality with your respective products? It's so different.
Mine is quite an easy one because there are some markers to look for in good acai. Firstly, is it pure or is it sweetened? There's lots of acai on the market. Served to you in a store is probably processed. So in Rio de Janeiro, for example, pretty much 90% of the acai is mixed with guarana, which is a caffeinated sugar syrup. It's very good, it's natural, but it's very sweet and high in sugar. So when they talk about energy, it's from the guarana, not from the acai. So I always ask the cafe, what kind of acai do you have? Do you have powder or puree? So I know what experience I'm going to have. If it's powder, it's going to be 80% banana, berries, and everything else, and then a tiny scoop of acai. If it's puree, it's going to be much more of an acai flavour. And then I say, is it pure or unsweetened? And then I ask them, do you know what grade it is? They probably don't. So they're in Brazil, in like the Amazon, you go to a restaurant and you order from the menu like a low, medium, or premium. And that's when the acai is taken from the tree, it's pureed, so it's mixed with water, and it's the level of acai solids versus water. So you pay a premium for the more acai solids, the more concentrated it is. So when all of us who make frozen acai, we're obviously pureeing it, and we have a specification. And I've always wanted like a very intense acai experience. It's like buying, different grades of dark chocolate, 60%, 80%, 100%. So that's a quality marker. I look for like a 16%. I know it doesn't sound very much, but the difference between 10, 12, 14, 16 in acai is huge. So that's another grade.
I think with particularly I think the thing is for consumers, they're buying from Holland Barrett, they think it's all the same. To them it's a commodity, it's like, and they'll just go for the cheapest one. That, unfortunately, that's what we've learned being in the market, but really it couldn't be more different than that. Like, when it comes to baobab, these are trees that grow scattered in the wild, and so the traditional system of harvesting is for it to be open in the village, cracked open on the floor, sandy floor, all things running around, unwashed hands, put into a second or third-hand rice bag, taken on top of an open vehicle to a local market, sat down, meat and fish around, flies around until it's traded up. And that baobab is finding its way now onto the shelves in Europe because it's cheap, and the commodity brokers in the Netherlands are purchasing it. So that's bringing the price down. But for us, we have to work from closed fruit. So you collect the closed fruit, take it to a hygienic place where you can open it under hygienic conditions, process it quickly, so that it's processed from open fruit to powder and then sealed. That's just basic. That's hygiene, and that's before. I think aspects of quality also come into the ethical side, because in that system, in the unorganised system, you don't know where it's coming from. So it can be not only unhygienic, but it can be unethical as well. So part of the quality is also knowing that we can produce records, documents, to signed documents, fingerprinted from the women because they're literate, to document that money has been paid to them, we put in their pocket. We can provide that for every single kilo of power purchase. And of course that costs money as well versus just buying it on the open market. So all of those things come into quality, traceability, but I think there are still buyers for a superior quality product than basic cheap commodity.
Value chains are super important. So traceability comes with transparency and trust as well. So we're lucky to say that James actually does this for a living. So he owns extraction stations. So we are pretty much you're able to treat the table. So we are basically soil to mouth. So we know exactly. It doesn't sound that good, but it's better than seed to shop. But it is what James usually says: soil to mouth. And it's true. We use no, not soiled. We do use blockchain technology. There is a protocol that's accepted here by British standard institutions. It's called Origin Trails, and it's built on IBM Hyperledger Fabric, which is a food trusting. And we use that to record the whole value chain of what we produce. So essentially, you will be able to scan the product and see exactly where it comes from. This is ethical and what's inside, because you never know what you're going to get from the plant each crop. So that's another thing that we want to put aside, and just to measure the dosage as well and everything else.
Andrew, Stephanie, thank you so much. It's a slightly cliche way to end the staff event, but just your final kind of like top tip that you could share with everyone on how to be successful as just an entrepreneur in general, really.
I think for me there's only one really, which is I only think about starting a business that somebody was truly passionate about, because making money out of it is not going to be easy, and what keeps you going is the passion you have for it. And if you're doing something that you're passionate about,
Very good.
I'd say if you found your passion, you've gone for it, then treat every challenge as an opportunity. It's just kind of like the exciting part. And, you know, like those challenges could either break you or they could just like, shift your perspective. And you can see like, could that happen because no one will move on. If I carried on the way I was going, it would have gone nowhere. So that's probably the start, the middle.
You got set it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.